Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. My name's Eva. Thank you for joining me here in this healing video. Let's just start by getting into the heart space, taking a nice deep breath, doing any sort of sighing you have to do. Let the energy move through you. Let whatever needs to be surfaced. There is a lot of heaviness. There is a lot of frustration. There's a lot of disappointment coming up. There's a lot of anger, a lot of really deeply rooted anger. So I was sitting down this morning. I've been sitting in meditation and communication with spirit for a while. Oh, it's 11:11. Um, and we've been working really deeply in this receiving circuitry, this divine feminine reclamation, resurrection, even. And so at first, this kind of unravels into deeper and deeper layers. You sit down, you ask questions, and then things unfold, and it gets down into its deepest layers. So I'll relate to you as the sort of onion was revealed. We're sort of letting the past be undone. We're really powerfully welcoming in this technology of forgiveness now. This is union healing. This is restoring the relationship to the divine self, to the wholeness that we are. We're healing our relationship to our guidance system, to our higher self. And now this started to reveal this kind of hidden belief, this belief that is not a reflection of how it works really to be in communion with the field. There's no outside power controlling your life. And we can sometimes see this in the way that we talk to our spirit guides. We talk to them as if they are sort of doling out lessons or blessings or punishments or blocks or tests. This is not really what's happening here. They do not control your life. You are in the free will seat. There is guidance and there are many guides. It really is so dependent on what you are working through at the time, because they come through the sort of genetic code, the morphogenetic imprint of the universal field. So it is often incredibly dependent on what you're doing. It's incredibly dependent on what you want, which is why getting down into these deepest layers of belief, I think, is the most important part of the work, to really see where these influences might be coming from and who you're actually working with. And just making sure that it is of your highest expansion, of your highest freedom, and to really remember your own free will, and that you're not working with some kind of energy through your genetics that is like self-serving in itself, or wanting you to enact storylines that would satisfy it. I think a really good expression or example of this in art is Children of Dune, and the way that Alia of the Knife uh, is a Bene Gesserit who is Paul's sister, and the way that she, her mother took the spice juice when she was in utero, and so that really like blasted her open in terms of the communication she has with her genetic field and her ancestors, and to all of the Bene Gesserit also. So it's an ancestral body lineage, and also this spiritual lineage that she's connected to, and so are we. But she really allows for her ancestral, no, I mean, spoiler warning, I guess. She really allows for her ancestral genetic record to really take the lead in what she's doing in her life, and she's really allowing it to play out its goals instead of what might be in the highest alignment for her own sovereignty and power. She's really letting her life be controlled by that. And so, if we put ourselves in the position, or we are working from a hidden or an unconscious or a subconscious, as we make it more conscious, belief that there are guides controlling our life, or they're telling us what to do, or that we are at the mercy of these like massive universal forces that we can do nothing about, that they are throwing things at us that we have to sort of roll with the punches for, that we have no agency, and that we're just kind of being moved around like puzzle pieces or puppets. You negate your own will when you do that. And so, the sort of main message of this being, um, I exist and I choose my life. Not allowing yourself to be negated. My existence is non-negotiable. And while it's not about controlling everything that happens, it's about understanding that your belief is creating this reality. Your choices are directly influencing what you see, sense, feel, and how you interpret it. And that's up to you. That requires a level of responsibility that a lot of people aren't willing to take, but they will. It's about their timing for them. It's up to you for it to be what it is for you. Um, so we really are expanding that, because there's a lot of there's a lot. This is very related to not trusting God and not trusting that Spirit does have your best interest at heart, and that when you follow your highest divine guidance coming from your one true self, that will lead you to happiness. There's a lot of this sort of the belief in the field that Spirit will lead us into hardship because suffering is meaningful, and that that challenge is what gives you integrity. That is not of Spirit as I relate to Spirit. God's will for us is perfect happiness. It's up to us to accept ourselves as beings who are worthy of that happiness, and to awaken to the truth that it is already here. It is already for us. It is already in our baseline coding, not all of this coding through the dimensions of form that we've made, all of these holographic patterns and symphonies and stories, all of these layers that we've made. We're getting to the core of what we are. I exist and I choose my life. That doesn't have anything to do with offending other people or the way that the other people take that. That's out of your control. Talk about things that are out of your control. You choosing yourself, you standing in your power, claiming your own sovereignty, doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. And it is not a direct attack on anyone else. And this is something that we really are entrained in when we have ideas that sacrifice is of love, which it is not. So we really want to allow this anger to be sort of self-emulating in the way that it is burning away false ideas of self. It's burning away all of these constrictions. As we get closer to the center where we no longer need it, we are powerfully calling in the technology of forgiveness. And we're letting go of ideas of it being like moral failings on anybody's part. Ya taya sungua woru initia sakinian chiki, sinitiana woru kanayandrua pia sanjais nadra, yana woru koniam natriani sumjagoru itisiun sokonitri kianayan chayisian toru konatriat. And there is a big message of like going back into that we have this idea that like there is a power outside of ourselves that's controlling our life, that they're like keeping things from you that you want, or that you aren't behaving in exactly the way you're supposed to in order to get what you want, that there's something inherently flawed in you that they're trying to teach you lessons to correct. This is all mistaken belief in what Spirit is, from my perspective. Kiria torru kanamin zatusham sakiritia orruitisim satrikiat, hinin torru kanashitrit, energy of accepting less. Now, we do want to call into mind the discernment that we must have and the line that we walk between attachment to vision, attachment to desires, self-grasping, like attaching your meaning to having something in the physical, and what we're really here to be, which is co-creators in the field, right? We are meant to be expressing and creating from our thought, from our mind into form. That is what the original intention of our unified mind is. And so it's not evil to use that power to create things, but we want to make sure we're really being careful about the meaning that we give the things. It is, I talk a lot about the world being in reversal current, right? And this is all correcting that reversal current, because we're correcting those ideas that there is some power that's dictating everything that you do, and it's some plan that you can't see and that you're not supposed to be aware of. You're just supposed to follow it and like be good and don't make a scene, and don't stand up for yourself and don't say, hey, you know what, this doesn't feel like this is in alignment with what I want. Why should I continue to negate myself? I'm not happy. So we really want to bring up where we are feeling resistance in this expression, in this transmission, for it to be resolved in us by the light of the truth. We want to release these dynamics of negating yourself. You are here to live. You are not here to further limit yourself or your expression to be in accordance with some power you feel like you don't understand, or what your family taught you and what they want, or what's best for other people, or what's best for whatever religious upbringing you were, birthed into, or whatever cultural society you live in. Like, your existence is non-negotiable. Opening that channel of communication from the direct experience of the divine, so that you are not in confusion about what you are doing here. And I see lots of spiritual teachers talking about how uncertainty is where we need to be cozy. Uncertainty is not of God. I think they're talking about controlling every aspect of life such that it needs to operate in this exact physical way for me to be happy and feel safe. But we must, to know ourselves as one with God, we must be certain. We must be certain that we are one with God. We must be certain that we are safe. We are indeed flowing from that certainty, so that what does physically manifest from our belief system is safe, is reflecting that belief in that safety and that certainty that is core to a being of God. You have made a decision. You choose heaven. Heaven is the decision that you make. What do you believe that heaven is? What do you believe God is? Do you believe it's this structure outside of yourself that's trying to dictate your life into situations that cause suffering, so that you can learn more about what you are through the suffering? Are you ever going to be happy if that's your definition of God? That makes God like the ultimate gatekeeper. I don't believe that. Hayakuya pinianda kinantri hati sangia tiotokoin soya tintrio yakinindro ruitisi shandidiatai. And now we also want to call in guidance around how we move through life, respecting our own boundaries, respecting our own sovereignty, without getting into fights with other people about the way we're doing that, or without saying, you know what, I'm not going. I'm not going to participate at all because people here are not, that would be very isolating, because everybody's healing, everybody's working their shit out. Like, some people more consciously than others, but everybody's on their continuum. Everybody's on their journey. And it's not to fight with other people about your value. It's not to prove your value to them. So Spirit, how do we stand in sovereignty? We are offering love to others. We are offering compassion to others, but we're not negating ourselves. Let that answer come from you. Shindria toru konandria amnishi kiasiti sandi shontro amniki indi kinian. Spirit, let me remember that my power is of God. And this is where forgiveness comes in, because God knows only itself. It doesn't perceive like we do. It doesn't perceive difference. It only knows of itself. It only knows itself. And so when we want to see with the eyes of love, when we want to see with the eyes of spirit, that is what we are called to do. When we are experiencing all of these things in our physical reality that seem to be reinforcing this core belief that love is self-negation, that instead we give that time back to the Holy Spirit to say, show me how to see peace instead of this. Show me how to see the light of the truth in these beings, in myself, instead of letting that anger turn into projection of attack or defense. Help me to see how I can use this anger in alchemy, in transformation, instead of directing it towards myself or others, which further creates separation between us. We are interested in dissolving the ideas of separation, but we really need to understand that that doesn't mean that we negate our own being. It expands our being. It doesn't negate your being. Kinandroa potoro kiritishi kiti anayon sonroanik. Hyonyanato korruitisio shokoya satikianatro aisia tashanatro ekiniat. And really, there is this very core thing that keeps coming up, that we must release, that suffering makes us who we are. Suffering doesn't, it might make your idea of what humanity is, but that was certainly not the original intention. We want to give up the tendency to relate and learn lessons in difficulty, relating to others in opposition, relating to others in ways that expect them to fulfill your false belief. We don't want to let that run on autopilot. We bring the unconscious into the light. We can't bring the truth down into the false. It doesn't work like that. You need to bring the unconscious, that which you are, all of these hidden programs that keep this, and your anger is showing you that it will not hold. Something is not right here, but we usually then just follow that anger into further separation. We follow it into attack. We're defending ourselves, self-isolating, continuing to negate ourselves. There's a way to instead let it lead you into, again, this alchemy. Show me what this is hiding. Show me the belief so I can reorganize it. Sia torro kanatri tisim saya shokorro konatra. Sia sokia shikinindri yakini koyo kianat. So oruiti soyen sotroikianian sorro korroinim natria sikiriatit hikayas nondroaishin satro yisikinin torro kirindriato subsatrot. There's lots of intricacies, layers being undone here. It's very interconnected to very many things. And so, this is the use of time that Spirit would have us partake in. This is the only useful way, is to unravel this. We're not letting automatic false processes run our lives. And we're not letting this anger consume our happiness. We're letting it consume and dissolve fear, false belief. And let it be revealed to you throughout your day. As I don't remember if I mentioned, but I was like sitting in meditation and sitting at this table I took a shower in between, because I like to use it as a cleansing ritual in between. Sometimes when I do work, I'm like, oh my God, I have to take a shower right now. But essentially since like 8 o'clock this morning, it's 11:30 now, like working through all of this, it doesn't always dawn immediately. Sometimes it plays out in the interactions that you're having with yourself, in conversation with yourself, or something that happens in your life, or somebody calls you on the phone, or you go out and you are having an interaction with somebody else, or in your memory, or things like this, things that get called to mind in a movie you're watching, in a book you're reading, whatever. So let that, let your focus be on the clarity of the unraveling, because it's going to come through in a bunch of different ways, because we're always in communication with the field, because the field is of us and we are the ones projecting it. So, this is kind of a continuation of that You Aren't Alone healing that we did on Thanksgiving, because this is a time of year where a lot of stuff gets inverted about what it means to be in relationship to other people, to be in relationship to ourselves, to be in relationship to families or friendships or gatherings or celebrations, and we really lose sight of the actual connection and love of it all. And we're often, either asked to or feel obligated to negate our own expression. I'm not saying that you should just like throw up your middle fingers and be like, I don't feel accepted here, so I'm out. But sometimes that is what's called for. I can't tell you what to do. That's not what I am here for, is not to tell you what to do in your in that sense. But that you are assisted in feeling certainty and clarity about what your guidance is from yourself, to learn how to listen to yourself and to get the cobwebs out of the way, to get these holographic insert pattern beliefs, these orchestrations in fear out of the way, so you can really hear and believe yourself. And that will really assist with letting go of patterns of negation. Trust yourself, believe yourself, know that you are worthy. You don't owe anyone self-abandonment. Your comfort matters. Your expression matters. Your presence has value, and you don't need to justify your boundaries. You exist and you choose your life. You claim your sovereignty and you stand in your power today and all days, in this moment and in all moments. Understanding this is not an affront to anyone. It actually assists others in their own remembering, because you are choosing your remembering, and the choice is what leaves the template. So I think we're going to end it here. Maybe we'll just bring through another couple, just clearing in the heart area. Kiri torokis, so you feel better right now. Kiri atayas nish ansa korro, kinindruam natroid, sinchi kinindria tokorroitisikaya. Sian socorro konam nati kiadiatish. You don't have to explain yourself. You are not obligated to let everyone in on the inner workings of what you're doing if you don't feel comfortable. But that doesn't mean you have to lie and pretend to be something else. But these are... we navigate these ways of being in relationship to other people that are at very different stages than us, perhaps, or at learning different lessons or remembering different things. But it's important to stay in our power, to stay in our sovereignty, understanding that is not in opposition to anything. It is in alignment with the truth of our being, for our happiness, for knowing our freedom, knowing the power of our choice. And it might be messy as we are practicing. We might not always feel like we get it perfect. That's not the point. There's, again, remember, no outside source that is telling you have to be perfect and you have to check all of these specific boxes and, oh my God, you did it wrong, so go back to the start. That's not the way that it is. We are working it out. We ask Spirit for assistance in remembering all of the time. We are not doing this alone. We can't do it alone. We invite Spirit in. We remember the true being. We remember that we have false ideas about love, but when we invite real love in unity, from God, from our true self, that we are shown, that we are corrected in our mind, but it's not in a way that involves punishment. It's a repositioning of ourselves, a reorientation from where we see so that what we see changes. Does that mean that you're going to like wake up in a different reality with a different family that's not doing anything that pisses you off ever again? No. But it does foster patience within us. It does foster greater compassionate understanding. It's not allowance and participation of delusions, right? We aren't here to perpetuate other people's delusions of themselves. And again, listen to yourself about where you're meant to be and what you're meant to do. Sometimes it's not what other people want, but this is about trusting yourself and knowing you're not doing it in opposition to other people. Because if you are, then that's reaffirming your belief in your own negation. So there's subtleties to all of this. We're unraveling the complexities that the ego has made on top of the simplicity of truth. But remember, the simplicity of truth is the core of our being. It is where we are. It is not only where we come from, it is where we are eternally, because we never leave our source. And we recognize the power of our source to change our minds as we allow it to be changed. And we trust that that does have physical change effects because it must. There would be no way that it couldn't. So we allow that change to take place. The certainty of our safety is what really allows for change. So, God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining me here. And I hope to see you all very soon. If you want to go deeper into the work, there are many ways to do so in the links below. And I will see you in the next video. God bless you.